Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. In this week's episode, we're gonna be doing just a little bit more work on the R33 GTR. For those of you that have been following the channel, you know I recently imported this car from England, and although it's in amazing condition with very little rust, there's a few little things I wanna do to it before I start working on modifications. Basically, I'd like to make sure general maintenance has been done, and then there's also some things the previous owner did which don't really work too good. So I want to make sure that's all cleaned up because I want to make this a solid running car before I begin any modifications. Now also, for those who've been following the channel, you know that I did a whole bunch of work to this car, and as I was editing the video together, it was just way too long. It's like 2.5 hours. So I'm cutting it into smaller pieces, that way it's a little bit more digestible. In this particular video, we're going to deal with the overheating issue. For those of you that have followed the channel, you know that the car developed a slight overheating issue where as I'm driving around, the car's fine, but if I get stuck in like stop and go traffic, which does happen here in LA, and the AC's running, which you do need in LA, the temperature was starting to creep up on just a little bit on the temp gauge. So I want to address that in this video. However, two things before we get started. One, if you do want to see more automotive, particularly GTR and S14 content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And two, if you'd like to support the channel, I do have the JD Archer shop. If you go to jdarcher.bigcartel.com, you can see a limited selection of t-shirts I've designed that are for sale. But with that out of the way, let's see if we can fix that overheating issue. One more thing before we get started. If this is something that you're going to need to do to your car, in this particular instance, we're replacing the radiator and the thermo switch. I will have a list of all the products and tools used in this video in the description down below. That way, if this is something you need to do to your car, you can check that list, make sure you have everything you need before we get started. The reason why I do this is I never want you to find yourself in a situation where you're doing the same project, you've dropped all the fluid out of the radiator and realized you're missing a tool or a part. And all of a sudden you're calling up all your friends looking for a last minute ride to like Home Depot or AutoZone to get what you need. So like I said, you can check the description down below. There'll be a list of everything used in this video. Now, if this is something you're gonna be doing in the future, I will also have links to everything. So if you do see something you need, you just click on that link. It'll take you where you need to go to get that particular product. But with that out of the way, let's start digging into the car. For those of you that tuned in a couple weeks ago, you heard me talk about where I'm having issues with this car overheating a little bit when I get stuck in traffic. So that means it's a slight overheating issue. It's nothing major. It's just one of those things, if I'm stuck in traffic with the AC on, if I'm stuck there for more than like 15-20 minutes, the heat starts to kind of creep up on my gauge. So I've been trying to troubleshoot that. In one of my previous videos, I did swap out the fan clutch and the fan blades, hoping that maybe that was the issue because Specialty Z did tell me the fan clutch was starting to go bad. Didn't fix the issue. And one of the things I noticed was one of the times when it was overheating, I popped my hood and my push fan wasn't kicked on. Now this fan is typically supposed to kick on when the car starts to get some insane heat. So it's one of those things, it doesn't just kick on because you turn on your AC, it kicks on when you start to overheat. So I was obviously starting to overheat and it still wasn't kicking on. So Mike and I did a few tests on it. The first thing we did was we removed the plug and we ran it directly to power. So we had a battery, we just ran the power cables to it and the fan started to spin. So that means that the fan is actually good. Next thing we did was we decided to test the wiring. So there's a little sensor that goes down here to the radiator, comes up to here, connects to the wires, and then runs to the actual fan. And what we did was we ran a continuity test down the wires and we found that there was no continuity on one of the wires to the plug, which means maybe somewhere along in here the wire broke or cracked or it's grounding out. So as you can see, we created this bit of a custom temporary harness just to see if we can get power to the fan to get it to spin. So I've driven the car, once again got stuck in some traffic, and then I basically parked here as it started to overheat, popped the hood, fan is still not spinning. So we know the fan's good, these wires should be good, so that leaves me to only two other possibilities. One is the switch that's supposed to kick on when it hits a certain temperature to let it basically lets the signal back into the system to turn the fan, or it's the relay. Now I'm pretty sure the relay is fine. Those don't tend to go bad very often, which means the one thing I want to work on now is the actual thermal switch. So I ordered up a new one and I started to think about it. If I'm going to be doing all of that work to pretty much drain the radiator, replace the thermal switch, might as well do the whole shebang. And so that is what we're doing today. As you can see, I got a brand new Koyo radiator. So we're gonna replace the radiator, we're gonna replace the thermal switch, and that should hopefully fix a lot of the issues. So another issue that some people said might be is that, well, this radiator is in fact 30 years old. So it's entirely possible that it's clogged or it's crusted up in there, and it's also not a very thick radiator, probably doesn't flow too well. So part of my overheating issues might be the radiator itself. So by doing the radiator and the thermal switch, I'm pretty much eliminating everything except for the thermostat and the relay. So that's what we're gonna do today, and hopefully that fixes the overheating issue. First thing we're gonna need to do is drain the radiator, which we're gonna have to do underneath the car, which means I need to get it in the air. Now, for those of you that have an R32, R33, R34, R35, you know that this front bumper will not clear a jack. So I have these Megan Racing low profile race ramps. They're the only things I've ever found that actually sit low enough to clear the bumper, but they get the car high enough that I can get a jack underneath there. Now what I'm hoping though is just driving up on these, I'll get enough clearance so I can get my drainage container underneath the radiator and I can just drop the water. Now we got the car up on ramps, it's time to get it in the air. Now one of the biggest questions people have is how to jack these cars up without damaging them. Now these cars are notorious for people using the pinch weld here to jack up the car. The problem is over time it damages the pinch weld. As you can see, I've got a little bit of damage here. But actually Nissan did something really cool, and they actually gave you a jack point, and it's underneath the car, and if you see if I can get it framed up right, there's a crossbar over there and it has a giant X in the middle of it. That is actually where you're going to jack up the car without damaging it. There's the bar right there, and there's the X stamped into the middle. It's very hard to miss. So that's where we're going to jack the car up from, and that way we don't damage any of the rails or anything. Now the car's in the air, it's probably gonna be easier to show you the jack point. So as you can see, there's the X right there. That's where I jacked from. And then we got jack stands on either side holding the car up. And so that's a good safe place to support your car without worrying about damaging anything. All right, so the first thing we need to do was remove this under shield. I wasn't sure if the radiator sat behind it, but it does. It sits right here, which means to even drain the radiator, you're gonna have to take this shield off. I thought this was gonna be a much easier job, just drop the water and go, but did have to make one extra step of removing this. So now that this is out, we have access to the bottom of the radiator. We can drain the fluid and get moving on with this job. So now that the heat shield is out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and climb underneath here. And as you can see on, this is the radiator right here. And there is a drain plug right here. And it looks like it works with a Phillips head, so I'm gonna be really careful not to strip that. Not that it matters because this whole thing's coming out anyway. So once we get that taken care of, we'll disconnect the radiator hoses, both the lower and the upper, slide it out, slide the new one in. Okay, so the thing I was worried about, what happened did happen. So the drain plug on the radiator is made of a soft rubber. And of course, trying to unscrew with just a Phillips head, it's stripped out. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is remove the lower radiator pipe, let it drain that way, and hope for the best. This is a really thing that sucks about 90s cars, stock pieces in general. They use cheap stuff, not meant to survive the ages. So that sucker's in there, and I think the only way to get it out now would be to drill it, because it's like this soft plastic, so I can't get this thing to turn at all. So I think I'm just gonna have to take off the lower radiator pipe and hope for the best. Okay, well, that worked, just not well. Soaked myself pretty good, but I really didn't have much of a choice because the drain plug was basically screwed. So continue to drain that. hopefully I don't have to do too much more work underneath the car. All right, well, now that we're done with the messy part, let's go ahead and start messing around up here. All right, let's connect the upper radiator pipe. The question is, will this radiator clear fan clutch, or am I gonna have to do that all over again? Hopefully not, because then I gotta take off the upper intercooler piping. Pretty much everything we're dealing with is a 10, so. Yeah, I think the fan clutch is gonna have to come out. Gotta loosen this bolt, this bolt. So there's 3 bolts you gotta loosen on the alternator. There's the one that tightens the bolt where you can adjust it, the bolt that actually adjusts it, and one that sits down below. The one that sits down below actually sits behind the belt, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. All right, so loosening that top bolt, loosening the tensioning bolt, and then the bolt on the bottom, which is the real pain. So as with before, when you're taking off the fan clutch, make sure you leave the alternator belt a little tight, because that way it don't spin on you when you're trying to loosen those bolts on the fan clutch. There we go. Old radiator out. Yeah, it's seen some miles, all right. All right, let's get the new one prepped. Alrighty. Here we go. Brand new radiator. I decided to get some new lower grommets because those are probably pretty dry and old and cracked. And then here's the new thermal switch, goes right in there. So we can go ahead and start getting this all prepped. Oh, that's good to know. I almost got a water wetter to try and cool things down even more, but it says do not use it with these radiators. So good thing I didn't. All right. This is that thermal sensor we were talking about earlier. Now, I don't necessarily recommend using this. Get an actual proper size. I don't know what it is, but it's just what I have, so I'm gonna go ahead and make do. So yell at me all you want for this. I won't argue with you. Okay, there we go. So now we're gonna transfer the old fan shroud onto this nice shiny radiator. Don't have to go too tight with those because it is plastic and you don't want to break it. Ready? There. There we go. And then of course we have brand new lower mounts. All right. Time to get this thing in the car. The last time you'll see the Koyo Radiator logo because it's going to be hidden behind the condenser. All right, feels like that's in place. So we're going to get rid of the temporary harness for right now, see if that fixes the issue, because I'd much rather use the real harness than something just kind of done together like this. But I'm gonna hang on to this in case we still have the issue. Well, can't say I'm surprised about this. It is a larger radiator. Yeah, getting this fan clutch on is definitely a bigger pain in the ass with the bigger radiator. All right, so all 4 bolts are set on the fan clutch, which means I can now tighten down the belt and then really give it a good tighten down. All right, so you gotta be careful because you want the belt tight enough not to squeak, but not so tight that it's putting extra strain on the crank or the water pump. Pretty tight. All right, so I did some work off camera here because for some reason things started to become a bit of a struggle. But I got everything together. The upper inner cooler piping is on. The everything's all tightened down. So now we're gonna pour some fluid into the system and check to make sure there's no leaks. Now also when you fill up your coolant, you want to make sure that where you're filling up the radiator is higher than any other point in the engine bay. That way if there's any bubbles, they'll move to the radiator. Yep, I got a leak down there. Okay. So let's go ahead and tighten this hose down a little bit more. All right, it's kind of full, so now I'm going to turn on the car, cycle it through, make sure there's no bubbles. All right. Okay, so good news is I'm not seeing any leaks. So once this starts cycling a little bit, and there we are, brand new radiator and thermal switch installed in the R33 GTR. Fortunately, it was not that difficult of a job, aside from just trying to get the fan clutch back in because the radiator is bigger and has a pretty tight engine bay to begin with, so it took a little bit of finagling, but it can be done without damaging the car. If you notice, I loosened the mount on the windshield washer reservoir, and that gave me the extra space I needed to get the fan clutch in. So that's really the only hint you need to get that done yourself. Now, fortunately, I did do that a while ago. As I did say, I am kind of chopping this video up because it was a long video. And I can tell you that this did, in fact, fix my issue. I've driven this car quite a bit now. I've been stuck in traffic. I've had the AC on, and that temp stays perfectly flat. No creeping whatsoever. So we did fix the issue. I also noticed my oil temps are sitting a little bit lower. So cool little byproduct of that, so we know everything's working. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's that the original radiator was just old, maybe it was clogged, it wasn't cooling as well, or if the old thermal switch wasn't working and the new one is. I don't know which it was, but it doesn't really matter because we fixed the issue and the car's a little bit more solid. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go hit that thumbs up button to let me know. It does help the channel out a lot. As I did say at the beginning of the video, if you'd like to see more automotive, particularly GTR and S14 content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on all forms of social media, which include TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. There'll be links for all those in the description down below. Now, after watching this video, if you have any questions about what I did, some of the techniques, or if you think there's even a better way to do what I did, go ahead and post in the comments section down below. I will respond to you. I thank you all for watching, and until next time, forget everything else, focus on the finish line.